Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're trying to speak English, but your mind keeps translating each word from Vietnamese, making you hesitate, pause, and sometimes not even able to continue the sentence? If you think it's because you're not good enough, then maybe you've misunderstood from the very beginning. The problem isn't about ability, it's about the way you've been trained. And today, we're going to change that. Welcome to Kunzy Podcast English, the place where your journey transforms from a hesitant English learner into a confident speaker who truly thinks in English. This isn't just another podcast about vocabulary or grammar. This is where you learn to reshape your mindset to not only speak English, but also think in English. In today's episode, we'll uncover the real reason why you're still translating in your head, break down the common myths, and share with you a practical strategy, the very method fluent English speakers use. This isn't just another podcast episode. This is the turning point in your English mastery journey. Are you ready? Let's begin. Have you ever found yourself in this situation? Someone asks you a simple question in English. You hear it clearly. You understand every word, but your mind goes completely blank. Instead of replying right away, you pause for a few seconds. In your head, you begin translating each word into your native language. Then you form your answer in your mother tongue. And finally, you try to translate that answer back into English. But by the time you're ready to speak, the conversation has already moved on. You feel like you've missed the beat. You feel embarrassed. And deep down, one question echoes in your mind. Why have I been learning English for so long and I still can't speak fluently? Why do I still need to translate in my head? The answer might surprise you. The problem isn't your memory. It's not your vocabulary. It's not because you're not smart enough or fast enough. The issue lies in how you were taught. From the very beginning of your English learning journey, you were taught to approach the language like solving a math problem. You learned individual words. You memorized grammar rules like formulas. You were told to stuff your brain with as many vocabulary words as possible, then piece them together. Most importantly, you were trained to always translate everything into your native language before understanding it. Over time, this created a habit, a mental loop. Hear English, translate into your language. Think of your answer in your language. Then translate it back to English. You've repeated this process hundreds, maybe thousands of times without realizing it. You thought you were learning the right way, but in fact, you've been slowing yourself down. This is the trap that most learners fall into because no one ever taught them to think in English from the start. They learned English to pass tests, to get good grades, to meet exam requirements, but they never learn to actually communicate. The result? They know a lot, but respond slowly. They speak in a broken, unnatural rhythm. Every sentence feels like a mini translation exercise. It's not smooth. It's not real. The second reason why you still translate in your head is because you've never practiced speaking in real-life situations. You've studied in classrooms, you've read textbooks, you've done grammar exercises, but you haven't spoken with real people in real settings. You haven't trained your brain to react quickly under pressure. You haven't developed the speed needed to think in English naturally. It's like someone who learns to swim by reading books, watching videos, and memorizing every stroke. But if they never jump into the water, they'll never truly learn how to swim. The third reason, and maybe the most important, is that you haven't activated your natural language instinct. Every human being has this. You once learned your native language without needing to translate. You listened, you imitated, you repeated, you made mistakes, you got corrected, and you kept going. That's the natural way to learn. That's your built-in language engine. But as we grow older, we become afraid of making mistakes. We want to speak perfectly. We worry about being judged, so we hesitate. We overthink. And in doing so, we lose touch with that instinct. So now the big question is this. Is it possible to break free from this habit of translating in your head? Can you learn to speak English fluently, naturally, as if it were your first language? The answer is yes, and the solution doesn't involve memorizing more words or reviewing more grammar. What you need is to retrain your mind. You must rewire your brain to process English directly, to hear, understand, and respond without translation. No pauses, no delay, no confusion. I call this the 3-step method to thinking in English. A simple, practical training system you can do daily. It helps you build real-time thinking in English, not just temporary memory. It teaches your brain to handle English like a native speaker would. This method doesn't require more studying. It requires a shift in how you practice. Practice speaking in real context. Practice thinking in images, not in words. Practice responding quickly with the words you already know without trying to be perfect. Practice consistently every day until your brain starts to respond in English, automatically. You may not believe it yet. You may think this is too difficult. But I promise you, if you stay committed, the results will come faster than you think. Thousands of learners just like you once struggled. They couldn't speak a full sentence without translating. But after just a few weeks of focused training, they started speaking smoothly, confidently, and most importantly, without translating. They didn't study more than you. They just practiced differently, and you can absolutely do the same. In the next part, I'll share with you the exact 3 steps you need to take to start thinking in English every day. But before we get there, ask yourself one honest question. Are you ready to let go of the habit of translating every word in your head? Are you ready to step into the English-speaking world not as a learner anymore, but as a real communicator? If your answer is yes, then your journey begins now. Step 1, watch with purpose, not just for fun. Have you ever wondered why you've watched hundreds of hours of English movies and thousands of subtitled videos, yet your speaking skills don't seem to improve? You're not lazy. You watch a lot. You love English, but what you lack isn't time. It's a clear purpose. When watching, most English learners make the same innocent mistake. They watch videos only for entertainment. They turn on Netflix, open YouTube, click on an engaging vlog, but they watch with a passive mindset. They turn on the Vietnamese subtitles, let the video run continuously without stopping, to think without taking notes, without repeating anything. As a result, they understand the content but cannot reuse the language they know, what the characters are saying, but they can't express it themselves. They're familiar with the sound, but unable to say it aloud. And everything stops at a passive consumption level, not active learning. To start thinking in English, you must completely change how you approach videos from today. You are no longer just a viewer. You are a strategic observer. An active learner, you don't watch for entertainment anymore. You watch to absorb the language like a child learning to speak for the first time. Choose videos with English subtitles. You can pick Netflix movies, YouTube talk shows, personal vlogs, podcasts, or even short videos on TikTok, as long as the content helps you learn how to speak naturally like a native. You don't watch to kill time. You watch to hunt for language. You're looking for interesting phrases, real-life expressions, vivid idioms that textbooks never teach you. You don't just learn by looking up new words anymore. You learn entire phrases, entire sentences, and the emotion behind the words, for example. Instead of learning, I am very tired, you pick up, I am beat, or I am exhausted. Short, natural phrases that sound like what a native would truly say. Instead of, I don't know, you hear beats me, or I have no clue. And you realize that language isn't just about meaning, it's about style, context, and personality. Every time you encounter a good sentence, pause and write it down in your notebook or note-taking app. Write the full sentence, add a note about the situation, and most importantly, read that sentence aloud with your own voice. Repeat it until you feel the sentence is yours. No longer just from a movie character. Don't learn individual words. Learn chunks, full expressions. Because when you think in English, your brain doesn't search word by word, it pulls up entire ideas. Expressions that you've heard and repeated many times before. And when you practice this kind of watching every day, your brain starts recognizing the natural rhythm and structure of English. You don't have to translate anymore. You simply recall the feeling, the tone, the moment you heard that sentence before, and now you can say it back instinctively, just like a musician plays a familiar tune without looking at the notes. When you watch videos this way, English stops being a subject, it becomes part of your life experience. You don't study to pass exams. You study to speak your mind, to tell your story, to express yourself, and connect genuinely in a new language. Remember, hearing a sentence 10 times is not as powerful as stopping once, writing it down, and repeating it with your own voice. Quality over quantity, always. So from today, don't just watch English, watch with purpose. Watch to learn how to think in English, to absorb real expressions, to make the language a living part of who you are. Step 2, repeat with intention. Imagine you're standing alone in your room. No one's watching, no one's judging, and you begin to mimic a line from your favorite movie. You're not just learning to speak, you're doing something that most English learners forget. You're training your instincts, your rhythm, your soul to speak English. People often say, just listen more and you'll be fluent. But the truth is, if you only listen without speaking, you will always stay outside the door of the language. English will always feel like a wall, not a bridge. To break through that wall, you need to open your mouth. You need to speak out loud. You need to copy word by word just like an actor in a scene. This is called the shadowing technique. You hear a native speaker say something, and then you immediately repeat it, not just the words, but the speed, the tone, the emotion. You don't need to understand every word. That's not the point. The point is to train your ears and your mouth to move together in sync, like a team. In the beginning, you'll sound terrible. Your voice might feel strange, your sentence might break, your tongue will twist, but don't worry, that's a good sign. It means your brain is doing something new. It's trying to adjust, trying to adapt to a new sound system, a new rhythm, a new way of expression that doesn't exist in your native language. Start with a short video, just 10 or 20 seconds. Play the first sentence, pause. Now repeat it out loud, exactly as you heard it. Don't read the subtitles. Don't guess the meaning. Just try to reproduce the sound like a baby saying mama or papa for the first time. If it feels too hard, slow the video down to 0.75 or even 0.5 speed. Listen again and again, then repeat. Slowly, you'll notice that your mouth becomes more flexible. Your ears are more sensitive. And something magical happens. You begin to feel the emotion inside the sentence. English no longer feels cold like a textbook. It becomes alive, close, and full of expression. Imagine saying, "I'm exhausted," not with a flat voice, but with the deep tiredness of someone who just finished a long day. You stress the right syllable. You stretch the right sound. Suddenly, the sentence feels real. It becomes yours. You're not just saying a phrase. You're living inside it. Don't worry if you don't understand every single word. At this stage, you don't need to analyze grammar or vocabulary. You're training your ears to recognize patterns. You're training your mouth to reproduce feelings. It's like learning to play a song on the piano. You don't start with music theory. You start by playing the keys again and again until your fingers remember the melody. When you repeat with intention, you're building a reaction pathway in your brain. You hear a sentence, understand the feeling, and speak it back without translation. You no longer think, "What does tired mean?" You just feel tired, and the words, "I'm beat," come out automatically. This is how native speakers think and speak. And then you'll realize you're no longer speaking in broken pieces. You're speaking in full expressions, full sentences, full emotions. You begin to develop what people call flow, that beautiful, effortless flow of language every English learners dream of. And that doesn't come from memorizing. It comes from doing, from repeating, from daring to sound wrong and daring to get better every single day. Make your room your stage every day. Choose a character, choose a line, and act it out. You're not studying English. You're becoming part of it. Repeating with intention is not just echoing for fun. It's a method of rewiring your brain. You're programming your system to process English like a first language. If you practice this for just 10 minutes a day for 1 month, you will see a transformation. You will no longer freeze when it's time to speak. You will no longer translate word by word. You will speak naturally, clearly, and with more heart than ever before. Step 3. Create with confidence. Here's a truth few people talk about. You will never become fluent in English just by repeating someone else's words. You have to cross a crucial line, from imitation to creation. When you only copy lines from movies or YouTube, you're memorizing, not truly using the language. But when you take that structure and build something new out of it, that's when English becomes yours. That's when you shift from passive learning to active mastery, and that changes everything. Imagine you just heard a line like, "I can't take this anymore." It's full of emotion, raw and powerful. But don't just repeat it. Pause and ask yourself, how can I use this sentence in my own life? Maybe you say, "I can't take this weather anymore," after weeks of rain. Or, "I can't take this noise anymore," if there's construction outside your window. Same sentence pattern, but now it's your emotion, your reality, your sentence. This kind of personalization is what makes your English come alive. That's when you move from parroting to real-world thinking. You're no longer a passive echo of someone else. You're expressing the world through your own lens, in English. One simple way to practice this is writing short monologues or dialogues daily. For example, take the phrase, "I'm not in the mood," and build something like, "Maybe tomorrow." It's short, easy, but real. And most importantly, you can say it out loud and practice being both speaker and listener. You're not just studying anymore. You're performing. You're becoming. Say it out loud. Don't just write and whisper it in your head. Speak like you're in a scene from a movie. Be expressive. Be clear. And if you can, record yourself. Play it back. Notice your tone, your rhythm, your confidence. With every repetition, you get closer to natural speech. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be brave enough to try, to speak, to make mistakes. That's how you grow. As you keep creating your own sentences, your brain begins to think in English. That's a huge leap. You stop translating. You stop waiting for the right moment to speak. You start owning the conversation. You become proactive. And slowly, English becomes a tool you can use, not a challenge you fear. Here's a tip. Keep your sentence patterns simple and useful. One pattern a day, one short dialogue at night. Repeat it again and again. Within a few weeks, you'll see real changes. Your speech flows better, your confidence rises, and most importantly, your fear disappears. You'll stop doubting yourself every time you open your mouth. Creating sentences based on learned structures is the key to fluency. When you can take a pattern, understand it, and reshape it for your own life, you're no longer a student, you're a speaker. Don't wait for someone to teach you more. Take what you've already learned and build your world with it. English is no longer a subject. It becomes your tool, your voice, your story. Daily practice strategy. 20 minutes to fluency. You don't need to study English for 3 hours a day to speak well. What you need is consistency, focus, and the right strategy. Many people give up because they think they don't have time. But the truth is, you only need 20 minutes a day. If you use those minutes wisely, they can completely change how you think, speak, and feel in English. Think of it as training your brain like a muscle. A little bit each day, without pressure but with full intention, that's what leads to long-term results. This strategy is simple and divided into 3 steps. Each step has a clear goal. First, spend 5 minutes watching a short English video with subtitles. Why only 5 minutes? Because you don't need quantity. You need depth. Choose a video you enjoy. It could be a movie clip, a vlog, or a motivational video. Turn on English subtitles and pay attention to how they speak, their intonation, rhythm, and emotion. This is your input phase, where you feed your brain real English. Next, spend 10 minutes repeating each sentence from the video. This is the activation phase. Pause after each sentence, listen carefully, and repeat out loud. Shadowing is not just about copying sounds. It's about feeling the breath, mimicking the emotion, and matching the pace. If you can, stand in front of a mirror. Watch how your mouth moves, how confident you look. Don't worry if you're not perfect. What matters is that you're training your brain and mouth to work together. Then comes the final step of creation. Take 5 minutes to create new sentences using the patterns you've just heard. Let's say the video said, "I'm done with this job." Now you create your own versions. "I'm done with this project," or "I'm done with this weather." Write them down, say them out loud, and repeat. This step is powerful. It turns you from a copycat into a creator. This is how English becomes personal, natural, and truly yours. Do this every day for 20 minutes, no more, and in 30 days, you'll see the difference. You'll stop being afraid of speaking. You'll stop translating in your head. You'll start thinking in English. You'll understand more, speak more confidently, and express your real thoughts with real words. This is not luck. It's the result of small, consistent effort. Just like going to the gym, you don't need heavy weights. You need consistency. Your brain is a muscle, and daily English speaking is how you train it. Don't wait for the perfect time. Make these 20 minutes non-negotiable. Whether it's morning, lunchtime, or before bed, make it part of your daily rhythm, like brushing your teeth or checking your phone. Remember, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to memorize 100 new words. Just one sentence pattern, one video, one round of repetition, one moment of creation. What you're building is not temporary knowledge. You're building your voice in English, a voice that's uniquely yours, shaped by your thoughts, your feelings, and your courage to speak. English will no longer be a subject you study. It will become your tool. And this 20-minute strategy is your key. Start today and don't stop. You don't need perfect grammar to think in English. What you need is daily, consistent practice. Progress doesn't come from how many grammar rules you've memorized, but from how many times you've dared to speak, dared to make mistakes, and dared to keep going. Think about how a child learns their native language. They don't start with textbooks, notes, or grammar charts. They listen, they imitate, and they repeat. They make tons of mistakes, but they're never ashamed. And that's why they become fluent long before they ever learn how to spell. You're the same. Don't wait until your pronunciation is perfect, your vocabulary is big, or your confidence is high to begin speaking. If you wait for perfection, you'll never start. The truth is, no one starts off good. Everyone begins with hesitation, with awkward sentences, with the fear of sounding silly. But the ones who succeed are the ones who keep going. They practice every day, even just for 5 minutes. They listen, repeat, create, and inch closer to fluency day by day. Remember, practicing English isn't about passing a test or impressing someone. It's about opening doors. It's about living a richer, freer life, one where you can connect, learn, and express yourself without limits. And when you practice long enough, you'll notice a shift. You won't be translating word by word in your head. You'll start to think in English. The language will feel natural, like breathing. What you're doing isn't just learning English. You're reprogramming your brain. You're retraining your entire way of thinking. That takes time. That takes patience, but it's absolutely possible. Anyone, no matter their age, background, or level, can do this if they commit. So remember this. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. Begin by speaking. Begin by making mistakes. Begin by fixing them. Make English part of your daily life through the music you hear, the videos you watch, and the thoughts you rehearse in your head. Don't study English like a subject. Live it like a companion. Every sentence you speak, no matter how simple, brings you one step closer to fluency. Every 5-minute speaking session is proof that you can do it. And yes, you truly can think in English if you train your brain the right way. You can think in English if you train your brain the right way. If you've made it this far, I want to leave you with one important message. You absolutely can think in English. You don't need to be naturally gifted in languages. You don't need to be perfect at grammar. You don't even need to memorize thousands of words. What you truly need is persistence, the courage to begin, and the belief that with just a little effort each day, your brain will learn to adapt. Thinking in English isn't something reserved for the talented. It's for those who are brave enough to make mistakes and learn from them. You don't need to wait until you're perfect to start speaking. You don't have to understand everything before you open your mouth. Just like a child learning to speak their native language, They make tons of mistakes, but every error brings them one step closer to sounding natural. And so will you. Every time you play an English video to practice, every time you shadow and repeat, every time you try to create your own sentence, you're training your brain to think in a new language. Don't be discouraged if you still translate in your head today. Don't worry if your mouth can't keep up with your ears yet, because progress doesn't come from perfection, it comes from small, consistent habits. Just 20 minutes a day, every day, is enough to rewire the way your brain processes language. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll stop translating. You'll just respond naturally, effortlessly, like it's your mother tongue. That day will come if you don't give up. If you found this episode helpful, if you're on your own English learning journey and need a space to keep your motivation and inspiration alive, then help me share this value with others. Hit that like button so the algorithm knows this content matters. Share this podcast with a friend, a loved one, or anyone who's learning English but feeling lost. You might be the spark that reignites their journey. And if you haven't yet subscribed to Kunzy Podcast English, do it now. Every subscription is a signal to the universe that you're serious about your English journey. And in return, you'll be the first to receive new episodes, honest stories, and deep lessons from this inspiring path of language learning. Kunzy Podcast English is more than just a podcast. It's a home for those starting from zero, for those who used to fear English, who felt stuck no matter how hard they tried. This is a place where you'll find guidance, encouragement, and a reminder that you are not alone on this path. Keep taking those small daily steps. Keep repeating. Keep believing in the process. Because one day you'll think, speak, and live in English as if it were always a part of you. And when you look back, you'll realize it all began with one small decision not to give up. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next episode. And always remember this: you can think in English if you train your brain the right way and stay consistent every single day.